Coming up on Our World, the story behind a woman of color, her rock and roll lyrics, and how one social media company reversed their decision to deplatform the black band. Plus, how a U.S. policy is causing confusion and chaos for some migrants as they make their journey north. And a warning from health experts about the new COVID-19 variants. Yes, that's variants with an S. That may be a threat this winter. Hey there, welcome to Our World. I'm Lamont Baldwin in for Stephen Walker. TikTok is a source for fun, memes, and music for many of its users. But its up-and-coming artist found herself banned from the social media app for posting a song. The Advocate Channel's Rick Damagella reports.
I'm taking my culture back. I'm taking my culture back.
That's Rock and Roll is Black by new metal band Cinnamon Babe.
I'm taking my culture back. 'Cause rock and roll is black.
Stormy Maya is the music's creative force.
I got into heavy music when I was in middle school. Got into like pop punk first. As I got older, I started getting into heavier stuff like, Judas Priest and Rob Zombie, but I wasn't performing it because for a long time, I was intimidated basically to join metal and rock music.
The people who died, they have me seen. They hate to have my words so political. Want me in my place to be traditional.
The song was inspired by Maya's online interactions when she left the rap music scene for metal.
I just had like hate from both sides, and I just in general had people who just it felt like so against me just making the music that I loved. And so every time I would respond to these people, I would be like, well, rock and roll is black, right? And I would say this because people kept telling me it was white music. And I kept explaining to them the history of rock music. And I'm like, well, hey, rock and roll was made by black people.
Your perspective is not based on reality. History's been erased in casualties.
When she released the song over the summer, a group reportedly numbering in the tens of thousands reported Stormy's account to TikTok, resulting in it being disabled by the social media app for violating community standards, according to her management team.
They mass reported me in like one day, and it was enough for me to get banned.
Cooler heads behind the scenes prevailed, resulting in TikTok reversing the ban nearly 3 weeks later, and according to her management team, calling it, quote, an instance of over-moderation.
So when I got the account back, it felt like a victory for Black voices. My videos were all there, and the momentum continued, and it still continues.
I'm taking my culture back. I'm taking my culture back.
TikTok did not respond to our requests for comment on this story. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
According to a report from BuzzFeed News, black creators on TikTok say their accounts seem to be banned for reasons that are unwarranted. Representatives from the social media company say they are committed to seeing that their policies and practices are fair and equitable. NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace is suspended one race following an incident at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. According to NASCAR, Wallace violated several rules of his member code of conduct, including intentionally wrecking or spinning another vehicle. The suspension comes after Wallace and Kyle Larson got into a fight after wrecking on lap 95 of the South Point 400 in Vegas. There's new evidence that Americans are energized about the midterms, with pre-election voting setting new records. The Advocate Channel's Jeff Zeleny has more on his midterm countdown.
Tonight, the economy and inflation are looming large over the midterm elections. Only 20 days before Americans choose which party will control Congress and state capitals. At the center of the campaign, gas prices on the uptick and the White House on edge, as President Biden and Democrats fight to maintain their majorities in the House and Senate.
We're going to continue to stabilize markets and decrease the prices at a time when the actions of other countries have caused such volatility.
The president once again tapping into the nation's emergency oil stockpile, hoping to rein in gas prices and ease the economic headwinds facing his party. He dismissed Republican criticism the actions were linked to the November elections.
It's not politically motivated at all. It's making sure there's enough oil that's being pumped by the companies so that we have the ability to be able to produce enough gas that we need here at home.
Early voting is already underway, with nearly 4 million Americans already casting their ballots, including more than 290,000 in Georgia, 450,000 in Michigan, 360,000 in Pennsylvania, and 180,000 in Wisconsin. From coast to coast, the campaigns are taking final shape. In the critical Pennsylvania Senate race with Republican Mehmet Oz,
that's the real risk here.
Democrat John Fetterman issuing a new letter from his doctor, hoping to cool the contentious debate over his health. His doctor said the Democratic candidate was recovering well from his stroke, but added Fetterman continues to exhibit symptoms of an auditory processing disorder, which can come across as hearing difficulty. Fetterman and Oz are set to come face-to-face at the sole debate of a contest that could determine control of the Senate. In Florida, a volley of heated exchanges over abortion rights Tuesday night between Republican Senator Marco Rubio and Democratic Congresswoman Val Demings.
I'm 100% pro-life, not because I want to deny anyone their rights, but because I believe that innocent human life is worthy of the protection of our laws.
You have been clear that you support no exceptions, even including rape and incest. Now, as a police detective who investigated cases of rape and incest, no, Senator, I don't think it's okay for a 10-year-old girl to be raped and have to carry the seed of her rapist.
Across the country, Democrats are hoping supporters will be motivated by a fight for abortion rights, even as Republicans believe crime, immigration, and the economy will resonate with voters. Those challenges come alive in competitive contests like Michigan's 8th District, where Congressman Dan Kildee acknowledges the pain of inflation, but tells CNN the election should still be seen as a stark choice between Democratic and Republican policies.
Is it a challenge for us? Absolutely. People tend to hold the party that holds the White House responsible for everything. We just ask folks to really think carefully about what the alternatives are. Look at the current condition of the Republican Party. Look at their policies.
As the midterms approach, former President Trump is investing nearly $4 million from his super PAC into several races. The money is going to his hand-picked Senate candidates in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. After 45 days in office, UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has resigned, making her time in office the shortest of any Prime Minister in history.
I recognise, though, given the situation, I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party. I have therefore spoken to His Majesty the King to notify him that I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
And she'll remain as Prime Minister until a successor is chosen. For many Venezuelan migrants, the journey to the U.S. starts in Colombia, but warnings from the Biden administration not to come have left many stuck there and in other countries like Mexico, creating yet another humanitarian crisis. The Advocate Channel's Stefano Patsuban explains.
Thousands of migrants, most of them Venezuelans, are finding themselves stranded in Mexico, in part because of a recent decision from the White House to expand Title 42 to Venezuelans. The measure allows U.S. border patrols to deport back into Mexico undocumented migrants that are found on U.S. soil on public health ground. But these migrants who are traveling from South America through Mexico trying to reach the U.S. southern border are saying that their lives are now in a limbo as their plans to relocate to the United States have been broken by this new policy. Some of them are thinking of remaining in Mexico, where already 77,000 Venezuelans live and work every day, according to the Mexican Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard. And the Mexican cities along the U.S. southern border, such as Tijuana, Ciudad Juarez, and Matamoros, as well as cities in the southern state of Chiapas, have seen the largest movements of migrants in recent days.
Title 42 expulsions are removals by the U.S. government of persons who've recently been in a country where a communicable disease is present. In this case, it's COVID-19. Now, there's a new batch of COVID-19 variants brewing, and some health experts say it could cause a surge this winter. The strains are already increasing cases in Europe and Singapore. The co-director for the Center of Vaccine Development at Texas Children's Hospital has dubbed these the Scrabble variants because they have letters like Q and X that would get big scores in the Scrabble board game. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says these so-called Scrabble variants are responsible for nearly a third of all the COVID-19 cases reported nationwide last week. According to a new study, Black heart failure patients are less likely to get advanced therapies than white patients. The study was recently published in the journal Circulation Heart Failure. It found white people were twice as likely as black people to get a heart transplant or a ventricular assist device. A ventricular assist device is a mechanical heart pump often used for patients with end-stage heart failure. Researchers found the heart transplant or ventricular assist device was performed in 11% of black patients compared to 22% of white patients. Death rates were similar among black and white patients. Thank you for joining us for Our World. The Advocate channel is now streaming on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV. You can also download our apps on your Android or Apple devices.